Eckhart Tolle begins The Power of Now with a simple but profound realization that most of humanity lives in a state of unconsciousness. We are constantly thinking, worrying, remembering, planning, but rarely being. Our minds have become prisons, and we mistake the endless stream of thoughts for life itself. Tolle explains that his own awakening began during a deep depression, when he suddenly saw the absurdity of his own thoughts. In that instant, he discovered something beyond the mind, a silent presence, pure awareness, untouched by fear or pain. That moment changed his life forever. The book is built around this insight. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness observing them. The mind is a wonderful servant but a terrible master. When it dominates, it fills every moment with anxiety about the future or guilt about the past, robbing you of the only thing that truly exists, the now. Tolle calls this identification with the mind the root of suffering. Humans are addicted to thinking, to labeling, to analyzing. Yet true peace and joy can only be experienced when we step outside the mental noise and rest in pure presence. When we simply observe the moment as it is, without judgment. The author does not invite us to adopt a new belief system. Instead, he offers a direct experience, an awakening to consciousness. He urges us to stop seeking happiness in time and realize that enlightenment is not in the future, but right here, right now. The purpose of The Power of Now is to show you how to access that state of presence, to help you end the compulsive thinking that creates pain, and to open a space of stillness where life unfolds effortlessly. When you are present, problems dissolve into clarity. Time loses its grip. The mind becomes quiet, and what remains is awareness, vast, luminous, peaceful. That awareness is who you truly are. Section 1. The Illusion of Time. Time feels real. We talk about it, plan around it, chase it, and fear running out of it. Yet, Eckhart Tolle reveals that time, as we experience it, is mostly an illusion. He distinguishes between two kinds of time, clock time and psychological time. Clock time is practical. It helps us schedule meetings, catch flights, and remember birthdays. But psychological time is dangerous. It's the endless mental habit of living in the past or anticipating the future. It's when we replay old regrets, worry about what's next, and constantly postpone peace for someday. Tolle argues that this kind of time is the root of almost all human suffering. When the mind is trapped between what was and what might be, we lose touch with what is. The present moment, the only place where life truly happens, becomes buried beneath layers of thought. We think we're living, but we're only remembering or imagining. Anxiety, stress, guilt, and fear all arise from this false relationship with time. As Tolle writes, unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear, are caused by too much future and not enough presence. We've been conditioned to believe happiness exists somewhere ahead, after the promotion, after the relationship, after the success. But happiness never arrives that way, because when later finally comes, the mind has already moved to the next later. True life, he reminds us, can only unfold now. The past and the future exist only as thoughts, echoes, and projections inside the mind. Living in the now doesn't mean denying your past or ignoring your future. It means using them wisely without being consumed by them. You can learn from yesterday and plan for tomorrow, but never at the expense of experiencing today. Every breath, sound, sensation, and heartbeat is happening only in this moment. When you bring your awareness back to the present, even for a few seconds, time dissolves. What remains is consciousness itself, silent, timeless and free. Section 2. The mind, a tool or a tyrant. Eckhart Tolle explains that the mind is a powerful instrument, capable of extraordinary creativity, logic, and invention. But when left unchecked, it becomes the greatest obstacle to peace. Most people, he says, are possessed by their thoughts. They don't think, their thoughts think them. From the moment we wake up, the mind begins its endless chatter, analyzing, judging, comparing, planning, regretting. It comments on everything and creates a constant background noise that we start to mistake for who we are. The problem isn't the mind itself, it's our identification with it. When you believe every thought, emotion, or mental image that arises, you become trapped in its stories. You react automatically, reliving the same fears and patterns. Tolle calls this the egoic mind, a false self built entirely from memory and mental labels, your name, your achievements, your wounds, your possessions. The ego constantly needs to strengthen its identity through conflict, superiority, or validation. It thrives on comparison and separation, me versus them, success versus failure, right versus wrong. Tolle invites us to take one radical step, to observe the mind instead of being the mind. The moment you watch your thoughts as an outside observer, you create space between you and the mental noise. That space is awareness. In that awareness, thinking loses its grip, and you begin to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who sees them. This simple recognition is the beginning of freedom. The mind, once observed, starts to quiet down naturally. You'll notice brief gaps, moments of silence, presence, and pure being. These gaps are not empty. They're filled with peace. They reveal the truth that the mind is meant to be a servant, not a master. When it serves consciousness, it becomes a tool for creativity and problem solving. When it dominates consciousness, it becomes a tyrant, creating confusion, anxiety, and endless dissatisfaction. Freedom, Tolle teaches, doesn't come from controlling your thoughts, but from stepping beyond them. When you live as the silent witness, aware but not entangled, the mind becomes still, and life begins to flow effortlessly. In that stillness, you find a clarity and peace that no thought can ever provide. Section 3. The Pain Body. Eckhart Tolle introduces one of his most powerful ideas, the pain body. It is the emotional residue of your past, the accumulated pain you've carried from childhood, heartbreaks, disappointments, and traumas. Every unprocessed emotion you've ever avoided doesn't vanish. It sinks into your subconscious, waiting to be triggered. This energetic entity, the pain body, feeds on negativity. It awakens whenever something reminds you of past wounds, a comment, a rejection of fear, and suddenly you feel anger, sadness, or despair, far greater than the situation deserves. Tolle describes the pain body as almost a living creature within you. It wants to survive, so it thrives on emotional drama and suffering. When someone says something that hurts your ego, the pain body seizes control. You might lash out, argue, or sink into depression, and afterward you often feel drained and guilty, as if something else had taken over. That's because, in a sense, something did. The pain body had fed itself. It loves pain because pain is its food. This cycle can continue for years, even lifetimes, unless you bring awareness to it. The key, Tolle says, is to observe the pain body when it arises. Don't fight it, don't justify it, and don't feed it with more thoughts. Simply notice it, feel its energy in your body, its weight, its restlessness. The moment you become conscious of the pain body, it can no longer control you. Awareness is like sunlight. It dissolves darkness effortlessly. When you stay present and allow your emotions to be seen without judgment, healing begins. The pain body weakens with every moment of conscious observation. You no longer react impulsively or identify with the pain. You simply watch it. And in that watching, something miraculous happens. You realize that the pain is not you. Beneath it, there's a still, unshakable peace, your true essence. Over time, as you continue to stay present, the pain body loses its power. It can no longer pull you into old patterns of anger, guilt, or self-pity. What remains is freedom, the ability to feel deeply without suffering, to experience emotion without losing yourself in it. Tolle reminds us that pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Awareness transforms pain into peace. Section 4. Surrender and Acceptance. At the heart of the power of now lies a truth that sounds almost too simple. Peace comes from acceptance. Most people spend their lives fighting what is, resisting situations, emotions, and outcomes that don't fit their expectations. This inner resistance is the real source of pain. Tolle explains that when you say, "This shouldn't be happening," whether about traffic, illness, heartbreak, or failure, you're fighting life itself, and whatever you resist persists. True transformation begins when you surrender to the present moment, not in weakness, but in strength. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up or approving of something negative. It means recognizing reality as it is, without mental labels or emotional struggle. It's the quiet realization, this is what is, right now. In that simple acknowledgement, suffering starts to dissolve. Resistance creates tension. Acceptance opens space. Tolle writes that surrender is the most powerful spiritual act because it ends the war within. When you stop arguing with reality, a deep sense of peace arises. Even pain becomes bearable when you stop running from it. Instead of saying, "I can't live with this," you shift to, "Let me be present with this." The difference is life-changing. Acceptance brings you back into harmony with the flow of existence. He often repeats, "Whatever the present moment contains, accept it as if you had chosen it." This single sentence holds the power to end inner conflict. When you align yourself with the moment, you stop leaking energy into resistance. You become still, centered, awake. Then, from that state of peace, intelligent action can emerge, not from fear or control, but from clarity and awareness. Surrender doesn't mean passivity. It means doing what you must, but without hostility toward life. When you surrender, you allow events to unfold without turning them into enemies. The mind always wants to control and predict, but presence allows you to respond rather than react. Paradoxically, when you stop fighting what is, life begins to move more smoothly in your favor. Tolle's message is timeless. The moment you accept what is, you step into the infinite power of now. The mind loses its grip, and peace, quiet, unconditional peace, reveals itself as your natural state. Section 5. Relationships and the present moment. Eckhart Tolle dedicates an important part of the power of now to relationships, because nowhere does unconsciousness appear more clearly than in how we relate to others. Most people enter relationships seeking fulfillment, security, or identity. We look to another person to complete what we feel is missing in ourselves. But Tolle reveals that this need is born from the ego, a constant hunger that can never be satisfied. When the initial excitement fades, the same mind that once said, "I love you," begins to say, "You're the problem." The truth is that most relationships swing between love and pain because they're built on attachment, not awareness. As long as you depend on someone else for happiness, you will also depend on them for suffering. The moment they fail to meet your expectations, the pain body awakens and conflict takes over. Arguments, silent treatments, jealousy, and resentment all arise when two egos collide, each defending its own story of me. Tolle's solution is not to fix your partner or suppress emotions, but to bring presence into the relationship. When you're fully conscious, you listen deeply without judgment. You see the other person not as a role or an image, but as a living being sharing the same consciousness. True love, he says, is not an emotional high. It is the recognition of oneness beneath the surface differences. It's not something you fall into, it's something you become. Presence dissolves drama. When you're present with your partner, even during conflict, you don't react automatically. You observe. You feel the pull of the pain body without letting it control your words or actions. This awareness disarms negativity before it can grow. Communication becomes cleaner, and compassion replaces blame. Tolle reminds us that relationships are not meant to make us happy. They're meant to make us conscious. Each trigger and disagreement is an invitation to awaken. When both partners use the relationship as a space for growth rather than control, love deepens into something timeless, an energy of stillness and acceptance that flows through both. Ultimately, the most powerful relationship is the one you have with the present moment. When you're anchored in awareness, you no longer use others to fill your emptiness, because there is no emptiness left. Love, in its purest form, becomes not a need, but a natural expression of being. Section 6. Enlightenment and the Ego. Eckhart Tolle explains that enlightenment is not a mystical or distant goal. It's the simple realization of who you are beyond the mind. Many people imagine enlightenment as an extraordinary event, something reserved for monks, saints, or gurus. But Tolle shatters that illusion. Enlightenment, he says, is nothing more than the end of identification with the ego, the false sense of self built from thought, memory, and story. The ego is the mind's way of creating identity. It says, I am this body, this name, this profession, this success, this failure. It constantly seeks validation and distinction. I am smarter, richer, better, right. But because these identities are unstable and temporary, the ego is always afraid of loss, failure, rejection, or insignificance. It must compare to survive, and in doing so, it keeps you trapped in separation from others and from life itself. Tolle teaches that enlightenment is not about adding something new, but removing what is false. When you become aware of the ego's voice, that constant inner commentary judging you and others, you begin to see it for what it is, a mental habit, not your true self. Every time you notice the ego, you weaken it. Awareness exposes its illusions. Slowly, the false me loses power, and what remains is spaciousness, stillness, presence. That is enlightenment. In this awakened state, life is no longer filtered through the lens of me and my story. You begin to act not from fear or desire, but from clarity and love. Challenges still arise, but they no longer define you. You feel connected to everything, yet attached to nothing. The ego lives in separation. Enlightenment lives in unity. Tolle emphasizes that enlightenment doesn't mean becoming passive or emotionless. It means functioning in the world without losing yourself in it. You can work, create, and interact, but your sense of identity no longer depends on results or recognition. You are free from the need to prove anything, because you already are whole. In essence, enlightenment is the quiet death of the ego and the birth of awareness. It's realizing that beneath all names, forms, and roles, there is one timeless consciousness. and that is who you've been all along. Section 7. The Path to Freedom. The path to freedom, as Eckhart Tolle explains, begins not in effort, but in awareness. You don't achieve freedom, you realize it. Freedom is already present, hidden beneath layers of thought, fear, and identification. It is the natural state of consciousness once the noise of the mind fades. Tolle reminds us that liberation doesn't come through struggle or belief, but through presence, the simple act of being fully here, right now. The first step on this path is observation. Become aware of your thoughts, emotions, and reactions as they arise. Watch them like clouds passing through the sky of your awareness. Don't judge them, don't fight them, just see them. Each time you observe without identifying, you step outside the mental prison. You realize there's a silent space inside you that nothing can disturb. And that space is who you really are. The second step is conscious breathing. The breath is the bridge between the body and the present moment. When you focus on it, the mind slows down naturally. Each inhale grounds you in the now. Each exhale releases the weight of time. Whenever you feel anxious, lost, or overwhelmed, returning to the breath instantly brings you home to yourself. Tolle emphasizes the importance of bringing awareness into ordinary activities. Presence is not something you practice only during meditation. It's how you drink your coffee, how you walk, how you listen. Washing the dishes, typing an email, sitting in silence. Every moment can be a doorway to awakening if you are fully there. Enlightenment is not an escape from life. It's a deeper immersion into it. As you live more consciously, your sense of identity shifts. You stop seeking freedom outside yourself because you recognize that nothing external can make you whole. Success, possessions, approval, they may bring pleasure but not peace. True freedom is inner stillness that remains untouched by what happens around you. It's the ability to face any situation without losing your center. The path to freedom is therefore not a path in time. It doesn't take months or years. It happens in the instant you choose awareness over thought. Every time you return to the now, you are free. Every time you observe without judging, you awaken a little more. Eventually, this awareness becomes continuous, and the old patterns of fear and reaction dissolve completely. What remains is peace, quiet, alive, radiant peace. Section 8. The Power of Now in Action. After guiding us through the understanding of presence, Eckhart Tolle brings the concept down to earth. Living in the now must become a practice, not just an idea. Awareness, he says, has no meaning unless it is applied in daily life, in moments of stress, conflict, work, and ordinary routine. The real test of consciousness is not how peaceful you feel in meditation, but how present you remain when life challenges you. Practicing the power of now begins with simple awareness. When you notice your mind drifting into the past or worrying about the future, gently bring it back. Feel your breath, sense your body. Look around and truly see. These small anchors reconnect you to the moment. Even a few seconds of pure awareness break the chain of unconscious thought. Tolle calls this taking the now seriously. It's the shift from thinking about life to experiencing it directly. When you are present, your actions become clear and intelligent because they arise from awareness, not reactivity. Problems are no longer overwhelming. They become situations to be handled now, not imagined catastrophes. The mind always multiplies problems by projecting them into time. But when you stay rooted in the present, life unfolds one manageable moment at a time. What once felt heavy or complicated begins to simplify itself. Tolle also emphasizes that acceptance and action are not opposites, they're partners. First, you accept what is. Then, from that stillness, you act if action is needed. Acceptance ends inner resistance, and from that peace, effective movement naturally arises. You respond instead of react. You create without fear. You handle life without losing your center. He offers practical ways to apply presence throughout the day. Pause before you speak. Take conscious breaths before making decisions. Feel the ground beneath your feet when waiting in line. Turn routine into meditation. Every time you remember to be present, even briefly, you dissolve a little unconsciousness from the world. Tolle calls this the beginning of a new earth, a collective awakening where humans live not as slaves to the mind, but as expressions of consciousness. The more you live in the now, the more peaceful, creative, and compassionate your life becomes. And as your awareness deepens, even the smallest moments, a bird's song, sunlight through a window, a silent breath, become portals to the infinite. Final reflection, returning to the now. Eckhart Tolle ends The Power of Now with a reminder that feels both simple and revolutionary. Peace is always available, here and now. We've been taught to search for meaning in time, in goals, achievements, relationships, and distant futures. Yet the only place life has ever truly unfolded is this single moment. The now is not just a slice of time. It is the eternal background of existence, the stillness from which everything arises and into which everything returns. All suffering, he explains, comes from resistance to what is. When you wish the present moment were different, you create conflict inside yourself. The mind says, "I'll be happy when." But life never happens when. It happens now. The instant you fully accept this moment, no matter how ordinary or imperfect, the door to peace opens. In that acceptance, you align yourself with the deeper intelligence of life, a silent knowing that guides every heartbeat, every sunrise, every breath. Tolle emphasizes that awakening is not about escaping reality or becoming detached from the world. It's about fully embracing life without the distortion of the ego. You still work, love, plan, and create, but from a place of stillness rather than fear. You become the observer, the witness, the clear space through which life flows effortlessly. This shift in consciousness doesn't just transform your inner world, it transforms everything around you. The true power of now is not philosophical, it's practical. When you meet each moment with awareness, your relationships heal, your actions become clear, and your mind loses its grip. You start living instead of waiting to live. Presence becomes your natural state, and peace ceases to be something you chase. It becomes who you are. Tolle closes with an invitation rather than a conclusion. Be here, now. Feel the aliveness in your hands, your breath, your awareness. Beyond all thoughts, all stories, and all time, there is a quiet, infinite presence, and that presence is you. For more life-changing book summaries in psychology, self-improvement, philosophy, and wealth, subscribe to the MindShelf YouTube channel and join our community of thinkers and dreamers. You can also download this full summary in high-quality MP3 format for offline listening at mindshelf.net, and keep the wisdom of the power of now with you wherever you go. Stay mindful, stay present. This is MindShelf.